Hello everyone, this is Anton, and you're on the BLACKROOM channel. In this video, we'll talk about the 5 best speakers brands for true home theaters. It's going to be very interesting. Be sure to watch until the end if you want to hear about these beauties. Let's get started. Let's go. So, the first speakers, which is probably familiar to everyone, a true veteran of the market, and known to perhaps the largest number of people in the world, is JBL Synthesis. Especially the first word, JBL. Pretty much everyone knows that one. JBL Synthesis is one of the pioneers of speaker systems specifically designed for use in home theaters. It's a good, reliable system, especially its previous version, when the speakers was on good expensive paper drivers. The high-end models featured beryllium diaphragms in the compression drivers. These were speakers that, in their high-end beryllium version, could truly perform and sounded very pleasant. About 3 or 4 years ago, a new series was released. And for me personally, it was a mystery. I just couldn't find a place to properly listen to this new JBL Synthesis series and really enjoy it. I actually stopped believing that JBL Synthesis was capable. And just about a year ago, probably for the first time at the Integrated Systems exhibition in Barcelona, I finally heard a properly performing JBL Synthesis setup. In fact, there were 2 systems playing. One was quite budget-friendly, at least by our standards, and the other was a solid, serious, reference-level system featuring all the new speakers. Because there was a period when they started stuffing huge studio monitors and some other speakers into JBL Synthesis. Speakers that previously had nothing to do with JBL Synthesis at all. And at the exhibition, they even showcased this kind of mixed assortment. Well, of course, the huge M2 studio monitors will sound pretty good behind the screen, no doubt about that. But the truly specialized solutions came a bit later. Ceiling speakers appeared, very unusual, interesting ones, built-in, with a rotatable angled baffle and a special waveguide, which also houses a compression driver and can play very loudly as well. So, this is a very interesting series of speakers that really delivers. And a year ago, I saw this for myself. This year, it also performed convincingly at the exhibition. It's a good, powerful, tough sound, but you know, it's rather bland, I would say. And well, you can really hear the compression drivers. That typical character of standard compression drivers is clearly audible now. So, there's no trace of that beryllium magic left anymore. Even in the most expensive versions and the largest flagship SEL1 speakers, you can see in the photo now just how big they are. I'm standing next to them, 2 huge subwoofers. This is the top-of-the-line JBL Synthesis speakers. It's a time-tested setup with its own amplifiers. Although, of course, as we all know, they're basically based on crown amplifiers. In fact, they're no different from them. It's the DCI series. But overall, it's a good solution if you appreciate and love that kind of rugged compression sound, and you want to have JBL in your home theater. There's really no point in considering any other option. The next speakers brand I would consider for use in a home theater is Krix. Krix is an Australian company. The first time we encountered them at an exhibition was probably 3 or 4 years ago, when they introduced these so-called walls of sound. It's a set of speakers and spacers between them made of subwoofers, which are placed directly into a ready-made niche behind the screen, essentially creating this behind-the-screen setup for you. In fact, the company has been around for a very long time. I believe they've been making speakers for large public cinemas for about 40 years now, and they equip a huge number of theaters all over the world, including in Dubai. Most public cinemas are based on and installed with Krix speakers. And you know what I want to tell you? They really sound good there. I like them more than some JBLs, which are just your typical professional cinema speakers. Krix, it's just not fatiguing, it's solid, and it's very dynamic. It has a good, dynamic bass that's deep enough. So it's like, there, you can really tell people care about quality and proper tuning. And when everything is set up and done beautifully, and the theaters are modern and nice, overall, it's a convincing, confident public cinema experience that's genuinely pleasant to visit. That's why I have a pretty warm attitude toward Krix, especially after that experience visiting public cinemas in Dubai. But they also have a home line, which is currently being heavily promoted by our colleagues at Trinity. At the last 2 exhibitions, they presented together specifically with Krix. Yeah, but at the exhibition, I wouldn't say there was anything particularly special about them. It's a solid, confident, dynamic sound. I felt the surround channels lacked a bit of dynamics, but that could also be due to the trin of amplifiers they used. At least, that's one possibility I heard. The The speakers themselves are quite thoughtfully designed, with angled edges so they can be conveniently placed as wide channels, mounted on the ceiling, or set up in a corner of the room. And there's a set of these screen speakers of various sizes along with subwoofers, plus additional subwoofers for rear installation. But overall, everything is black, rugged, and in the lower series they even use dome drivers. But in principle, JBL is guilty of this too. Basically, if they guarantee the sound pressure level, then it probably works. I have never been to a serious venue equipped with Krix. I was only at a colleague's showroom, but unfortunately, they had some issues with amplification, and the room was quite small, so I couldn't really get a full sense of how good or not so good they actually are. So basically, I haven't heard a proper, real home theater with Krix either, but their roots are very solid, and their range of speakers is quite impressive. In other words, you can find and put together a good, reliable setup. So you can definitely consider them as a candidate for speakers in a serious home theater. Ascendo audio has come a long way. Now, it's probably one of the leaders, and engineering leaders, on the home theater speakers market. Last time, I dedicated a lot of time specifically to how their amplification is organized. The fact that all the interconnects between the amplifiers use a digital protocol, APB, so the sound is transmitted over twisted pair, with flexible DSP settings and all that. All of that remains, it's all still there. But now, so many new models and their variations have appeared, and all of them are coaxial. This is probably the main feature and advantage of Ascendo speakers. They use coaxial drivers. That is, the tweeter is located somewhere deep inside and in the center of the mid or low frequency driver. It always looks like just a single driver, but in reality, it's a coaxial one. And that's a very good thing, because no matter where you move relative to such a speaker, you'll always have the same angle from both drivers. And the sound that reaches your ears will always arrive at the same time, no matter where you are positioned. This is what's called group delay. And in this type of speakers, it's as uniform as possible precisely because of the physical arrangement of the two drivers relative to each other. And accordingly, there will be fewer various phase shifts and sound distortions when you simply sit in different places in the hall. That's a big advantage. Well, of course, there are some nuances. They still remain. For example, I'm not entirely satisfied with the dispersion angles, like those of 12-inch fronts. But overall, if the speakers are properly designed for the room and correctly aimed at the entire listening area, they will confidently cover that listening zone. And as for the components used there, well, my respect, there are absolutely no questions about them. Besides, Ascendo is a company with truly extensive and powerful engineering. The founder, Jeffrey Heinzel, with whom we are good friends and regularly keep in touch. He's someone you could listen to for hours when he starts talking about the principles behind achieving sound goals in a home theater. This is a company that provides absolutely all the data, all the measurements for their speakers, including the spinorama, which we've already talked about on this channel. This is a set of comprehensive measurements that shows how a speaker actually performs in three-dimensional space. And based on these measurements, you can remotely evaluate, design, and plan for it in a particular home theater project, and be confident that it will deliver the performance you need, covering the listening area with the required sound pressure level. Very few manufacturers, especially those making products for home use, provide these kinds of measurements. And separately, it's worth talking about subwoofers. Ascendo's subwoofers are really something special. They're great products. Yes, they do cost a fair amount. Here we have a 21-inch unit, a real beast, but they also have 24, 32, 50-inch, and even 85-inch subwoofers now, which have already made it into all the Guinness World Records. And there's even a showroom in Germany for the 85-inch model. And last year, alongside us, it received the CEDIA Awards Prize for Best Showroom. So this gigantic subwoofer in a concrete enclosure is standing right there in the showroom. And anyone who can travel to Germany, I think, can sign up and visit and experience for themselves how this 85-inch subwoofer, powered by a 10,000 watt amplifier, will immerse you in bass down to 2 Hz. By the way, they also make their own amplifiers. In general, a confident German, quadratic, practical, honest. Only in this case it is a good round one, which you can safely consider for your home cinema. There is also an option to replace the drivers with beryllium ones on certain older speakers, which will give you a delicacy that compression speakers usually don't have. If you have the budget, then Ascendo is my recommendation, so to speak. I can't help but switch here to another type of driver, which is much more pleasant to my ear. This is Wisdom Audio, an American company renowned for its linear arrays based on magnetoplanar drivers. Very sexy speakers. At the last exhibition in Barcelona, they had an amazing booth where all types of drivers were displayed in detail. They gave a detailed comparison of their drivers there, highlighted the advantages, and even released the sound system in the Arctic using magnetoplanar drivers. Moreover, round magnetoplanar drivers still exist now. These guys are just awesome. This is a very pure, very pleasant sound to the ear, with mids and highs that are as close to real life as possible. The only thing is, to make them play loudly, they have to use these line arrays and several amplification channels. The biggest drawback, of course, is the price. The price, which, I don't know, is 2 or even 3 times higher than JBL Synthesis. A system based on these line arrays can easily cost that much. It's a very expensive, but great sounding speakers. They also have their own amplifiers, and now they have in-ceiling built-in speakers, where they even use a laser pointer for the most precise adjustment and positioning towards the listening area. So, these guys are technologically advanced, stick to their values, and continue to promote magnetoplanar technology, which is honestly very good, enjoyable, but damn expensive. And now, the 5th brand on this list. Don't think that I'm putting it last. In fact, I'd probably place it among the very top, especially when it comes to the balance of price, sound quality, performance, convenience, and flexibility it offers. This is the Dutch brand Alcons Audio. It's this brand that is featured in the showroom where I am right now. Last time, 4 years ago, or actually, it's probably been even longer, I talked about Alcons based only on the exhibitions I had attended, where I had heard their systems. Now, having had this showroom for over 3 years, built on Alcons audio speakers, and having already designed about a dozen home theaters using Alcons audio speakers, I can confidently say that this is the most pleasantly sounding, reliable, and high-performing speakers brand in terms of price-to-quality ratio and all these characteristics. Honestly, I don't know of any other brand that could replace it. Well, ever since I first heard it, fell in love with it, and decided to bring it to Russia, basically, nothing has changed. The way it sounded so pleasant, the way it delivered such powerful and even intimidating dynamics, how it's not afraid of any overloads, and how there are absolutely no distortions in the mid and high frequencies thanks to the ribbon driver. All of this, I've only confirmed and experienced for myself. And last year, we won the CEDIA Awards with a home theater built on the top reference line from Alcons Audio. And every time, it delights and surprises not only our clients, but also everyone who visits this wonderful showroom. Whether you come for one of our frequent open house events, or you visit as a potential client for a full demonstration, yes, you have that opportunity. So, all the BLACKROOM contact details will be in the description. You can do this. Immerse yourself fully in the world of cinema, in the best showroom in the country, with the most realistic sound from Alcons Audio. Honestly, it's hard for me to add anything more to that. It's not cheap. Truly, the speakers are not inexpensive. This isn't just hi-fi. A couple of speakers from M.Video don't even come close. They're priced similarly to JBL Synthesis, if you compare systems with similar performance. Although Alcons, of course, has much greater peak overload capabilities. There's a ratio for a certain compression driver, right? If we take, for example, the best compression driver, its ratio of nominal to peak power is 1:3. So if it handles 50 watts, for instance, then 150 is its peak, and beyond that it will start to burn out. But with the Alcons ribbon driver, also a 2-inch one, it's rated at, say, 25 watts, but in peaks it can handle 15 to 16 times more. And it does this not just for 100 milliseconds, but even for up to 200 milliseconds. And it doesn't burn out. In this showroom, over 3 years, nothing at all has happened to the speakers. We really put them through their paces here. Some of our clients even ask us to turn it up 10 decibels above reference. And we do it. We just plug our ears and crank it up. Every corporate event here, we're belting out karaoke through these 2 speakers. The sound is absolutely beautiful and pure. Honestly, I don't know of karaoke like this anywhere else. Only with Alcons Audio do all my clients have this kind of karaoke experience. Has anything ever happened to one of the components? Like the seemingly fragile ribbon? No, the guys aren't lying. And if it's a pro ribbon, then it really is a pro ribbon. It's not afraid of overloads and delivers the purest sound. So, that's been our experience, and it's only been confirmed. That's why Alcons is now our go-to, reference brand component that we recommend from the start. But if you happen to prefer other brands from the list in this video, we'll be happy to design and build a home theater for you, equipping it with the speakers of whichever brand you choose. The only thing we can't guarantee is that you'll be able to easily find a place to listen to it at the highest quality, even in Moscow. Because there are very few showrooms or home theaters with other speakers. and those that do exist are often not set up in the best way. Built and tuned. In my experience so far, ours is the most balanced and impressive showroom I've seen and heard. That's it. Friends, please write in the comments which of the brands you heard about in this episode you like, prefer, and why. And especially if you have it in your home theater or cinema room, how happy and satisfied are you? And are you planning to replace or upgrade it, for example? Now, let's move on to the bonus brand that we still have to talk about. This brand is not part of the ranking, not included in this top 5 list. This brand is BLACKROOM Audio. We listen to our client. You often come here and say, yes, Alcons, of course, no questions. Super, awesome, great, but it's expensive, takes a long time, and there are some other reasons. In general, there are a lot of people who would like to get the same performance, the same adequacy, and the thrill of professional tuning as, well, as this hall is tuned and sounds. I tuned it myself, forgive me, for 3 days. And to get something similar, but for less money. This is actually the most common request we get. Not everyone at this moment has the opportunity to build a cinema room and install Alcons there. Synthesis and Wisdom. I won't even mention those. Well, Ascendo is even more expensive than Synthesis and Alcons, so basically, there are people who don't have that kind of budget, but have a bit less. For them, we specifically, well, made a decision. Honestly, I resisted for a long time. I've already been through all of this before at my previous company with my partners. We had a full production cycle there. We made both amplifiers and speakers. Now, I realize that I'm ready to do it again. But of course, I won't be setting up my own woodworking production anymore. We're using the facilities of other manufacturers. We handle the design, the approval of dimensions, sizes, and form factors, because we're close to installation, we're installers ourselves, and we know exactly what we need to make it as cool and convenient as possible to integrate the speakers into walls, into a screen wall, or to mount them on the ceiling. That's why we provide the technical specifications and requirements. Listen to the prototypes, check and adjust them, listen again, and then give new instructions. And gradually, we're developing our own line of speakers under the BLACKROOM Audio brand. There will be 2 series, one for those who prefer compression drivers, and another for those who love the ribbon sound. Yes, it's not Alcons, it's not Ascendo. It's something that we can create here, using the technologies, drivers, and expertise. But I can tell you this, if we offer and sell you these speakers for your home theater project, first of all, it will be much more attractive in terms of price. Secondly, you will truly enjoy the result. You will get the necessary performance, coverage of the listening area, and the sound character you prefer. And in the end, you'll have your dream home theater for a significantly lower price. And this theater will also proudly bear the name, made by BLACKROOM. Next to me, you can see just a few models of BLACKROOM Audio speakers. There are both full-size 3-way systems and very slim surround speakers. Right now, we are in the final stages of developing and producing prototypes of special models for wide channels and ceiling speakers. All of these are true cabinet speakers, tested in an anechoic chamber, with all crossovers tuned to perfection. They can be active, meaning they don't have an internal crossover, and use channel-by-channel amplification with DSP amplifiers. So in the end, this will be a complete lineup. In fact, 2 lines of speakers that we will offer to our clients, if you want to be among the first. By the way, we've already designed these for several projects, and we're even producing them now. Get in touch. Leave all your contact information in the comments. Go to our website and submit a request. Well, you know what to do. If you want to trust us, save some money, and at the same time get signature speakers from BLACKROOM, now you have that opportunity. All the details, of course, will be discussed in person, because the project is still ongoing, and you even have the opportunity to influence what the models will be like in the next iteration. Subscribe to the BLACKROOM channel so you don't miss new videos, especially videos about BLACKROOM Audio speakers, new models from Alcons or other brands, and exhibition reports, because only here do we have the real meat on everything related to home cinema and home theater construction. And of course, don't forget to give this video a like. I'm sure it was entertaining and interesting, as always. Well, this was Anton with you, founder of BLACKROOM and for now, the permanent host of this channel. We'll definitely see each other soon in new videos. Bye everyone.